Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to Saturday Sit Down and Shut Up, Juzzy. Today we have Gerri on, so let's bring him on. Hey, Gerri, can you hear me? Is it Gerri?
Uh, Gerri,
Gerri?
Gerri.
Gerri? All
I
right,
don't know.
cool.
It's probably hard to pronounce if you're mainly speaking English.
No worries, just want to make sure I get it right. So Gerri, huh? Would that be acceptable on the stream, or do you want me to do it with the
Yeah,
accent?
that's pretty close. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, that's
Gerri.
good.
All
Yeah.
right, cool. All right, so welcome in. So today we were talking about you sent me a couple replays, and it sounded like you were having some issues trying to identify um, issues in your game right now, right? So you look at the replays and you're like, well, I'm not really sure where things are happening or not happening or whatever, right? Does that sound about right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, okay, cool. So what we could do, or what we'll do today, is we'll run a first to three. I'll invite you to custom room. Run a first to three. I'll get a sense of kind of what's working for you, what's not working for you, that type of thing. After that, we'll do a little replay review. So we'll look at one of the games that we played, and then we'll look at some of the replays you sent, some of the situations that I think you were interested in talking about. So we'll take a look at those. If there's any specific situations that we want to take a look at, may do a little lab work, depending, if it makes sense to do so. And then at the end, if there's time, I know you're in the EU, so if there's time, we'll run it back. But it's completely optional at the end there. So does that sound reasonable to you?
Yes.
Cool. So your CFN is just Gerri, right?
Yes.
Okay,
The same as on Discord.
gotcha. All right. Okay, I think I sent the invite, Aki, right? So
Yeah, I got it.
okay, cool. All right. Let me just switch out to the view here. All right, so go ahead and queue up. I'm gonna def it in Discord, mostly so I don't impact anything you're doing. I tend to talk a lot during these, so don't worry about it. Also,
Okay.
I may take a little bit to rematch, right? So the timer may run down. Mostly again as I articulate what I'm seeing and hearing, so that we can focus on it during the replay review. So, all right, good luck.
Okay. Yeah, good luck.
All right, Gerri. I don't think I played them before. I know I've seen them looking for games a lot in Fight Rise. I always, try to play everyone I can. So let's see what's going on. That was nice. Oh, nice jump. Oh, interesting route. Oh, it's unfortunate that it dropped there. Okay. So I mean, obviously there might be a little bit of rollback latency. She's obviously we're across the across the pond or whatever. What I'm seeing right now is that I think they're a little uncomfortable in neutral. So if I like, I don't put it. They're not quite sure how to poke me or create space for themselves. So let's see. Like if I stop their drive rush fireball. Oh. Oh. Man, Aki's so cool, dude. Okay, so I actually have to super here mostly because I have no meter. If I did have meter, I guess I would do something else, but let's see. Uh-oh. Whoops. Okay. So yeah, my thought right now is that there might be some stuff in like the neutral game that they're not quite comfortable with, like being able to control space with Aki without using drive rush, without using fireball drive rush, right? So if I shut down fireball drive rush, oh that was nice. Oh no. That conversion's pretty good. So again, I'm not sure where they feel like they're struggling. They still struggle in the corner maybe. Aki's kind of hard to play in the corner because of the yeah, burnout killed me there. So if I had to point out anything in particular that I'm seeing, I think it's mostly around the fact that Fireball Drive Rush is their main way in, right? So if I just walk forward, it seems like it put them in kind of an uncomfortable situation, but they feel like they have to back up. No confirm, unfortunately. A lot of parry? Okay, that time was a little bit of corner defense stuff. Guessed wrong in a couple of situations, but alright, so this is where I think they're the most uncomfortable. Oh, I rolled back. Okay. Bit of a rough fireball there in the corner. Trying to play a little passive because they're at a low life, right? So they could really take another mix-up. So again, I think the issue is that right now, if I stop their approach, right, with like this, where again they can't really use their drive rush effectively, I think they start to struggle in neutral a little bit. Uh-oh. A little bit of rollback, unfortunately, but that's life. Alright, they're finally baiting the D-Rev here, so that's good. But it means they have to give up pressure to do that, right? Oh, that's an unfortunate... Okay. And then in the corner, some of the defensive decision-making is tough. You know, obviously it's hard, like, as Aki to play defense here. Oh, nice. I could have sworn that was... Okay. That was nice. Oh, my delay tech. Oh, cross me up. Level 1. Man, these Aki conversions are just so dope, dude. I don't know what... So they play very well. I mean, I don't, you know, there's not a whole lot I can be like, oh, this is particularly wrong. They play very well. It's just, some of it I think is just neutral decision making. And then being comfortable without having access to Firewall Drive Rush, right? Oh, that hit me? Oh, I should have supered. Leap. Yeah. You can kind of see it, right? If I'm playing at a range where they can't effectively use their Fireball Drive Rush or Leap, it becomes a little uncomfortable neutral overall, right? And then that's kind of where because it's uncomfortable, they feel like they have to force something, and that's kind of where, you know, you get whiff punish, right? Nice. Uh-oh. Some of these unfortunate whiffs, I think, are just because of rollback. Uh-oh. Because they anti-air very well, right? So... Oh. Oh, I wasn't blocking? I don't know what happened. I just stopped blocking for some reason. I don't know what's going on. Okay. That's funny. So I'm going to spend super low early here. Get a little bit of a lead. Try to keep the pressure on. Because if I go into round 3, you're definitely going to have enough meter. Ooh. Counter hit. Okay. So I guess I'm too close there. So wake up super just works. That was dope. Oh. I didn't have enough health for that. I guess it would have worked, maybe. But anyway, you can kind of see if I... I don't think they have too many issues overall, really. A couple of things here and there neutral-wise. But now they see they're kind of apprehensive about their drive rush, right? They've been getting derevved. Right. So that's what I mean. Like, I think that's kind of probably where they're struggling the most, is in that mid-range, mid-range, like neutral mid-range, right? Grounded mid-range. I think the super again. Okay. So, I mean, they play very well. Let's not mince words here. They play very well. I think the issue ends up being some of that neutral mid-range and then corner defense, right? So let's bring it back on. Hey,
Oh man, I jumped way too much.
Yeah, I was thinking, I was saying this on stream. Part of it, I mean, you know, there's some rollback and that stuff, but let's not worry about that. But I think what's happening right now is that if you're able to effectively use Fireball Drive Rush and leaps and jumps to get around some of that mid-range neutral, your game works great, right? So if you're able to get in, you're able to mix me up effectively with, like, you know, your meaties and your setups, right? The safe jumps and all that stuff. All this stuff works great, right? So as soon as you had me in the corner, I got smoked, right? Like, I had to guess for my life in a lot of those situations. But when you weren't able to get that, right? Like, if I was derevving your Fireball Drive Rush, or if I was anti-airing you, or able to check a lot of your movement, it looked like and felt like you got a little uncomfortable, right? It's like, oh man, I'm not able to get in, what do I do? And then you felt like you had to jump, right? And then it also kind of shut down your Fireball Drive Rush, right? There were times where you would throw Fireball, and then you would drive rush behind it, and then you would just give up your pressure, right? Because you're expecting a derev. And that means you're spending a lot of resources for nothing, right? Like, yeah, you would close the gap, I guess, but then you would back up, right? So at least that's what I was thinking. I don't know. How did you feel during our games?
I didn't feel like I need to jump in order to get in. I just kind of did it on the autopilot. I'm
Mhm.
actually kind of angry at myself for doing that because I usually don't jump
Mhm.
much. I jumped a lot in the first round to figure out like where the opponent's strength can they enter pretty well and everything. But after that, I usually don't jump a lot.
Mhm. Mhm.
And the fireball drive rush thing, um, I yes, I do notice that I walk back a lot and kind of give up pressure when I don't really have to. But the thing is, I don't really have any good pressure after that. If I fireball, drive rush, jab, after that, there's nothing I can do. I
Mhm.
can maybe walk forward, do a stand medium punch into heavy or like bubble, but you could check that. That's
Mhm.
fake.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I kind of have to give up my pressure there.
Right, right. And if you're not able to do the was it the back heavy or forward heavy, whatever it is, the double kicks, right? If that
Yeah,
doesn't
the
land,
forward heavy.
yeah, because you get plus frames from there, right? So if you do that, you're able to
Yeah,
mix me up for
that's
sure.
true.
But if I'm able, but that means that you have to commit to that, right? You can't like do it on reaction. You commit to it during the drive rush, and if I derev, it'll beat that, right? So because
Yeah.
I feel again, it feels like when you have plus frames and advantage, it's totally fine, right? Your offense runs great, your setups are good, like all that stuff is great. It's just that it looks like or it feels like if you're not able to generate that opportunity for yourself, it feels like it can be a little difficult to pull the win out, right? So okay, so I'm sharing my screen in Discord. Let me know if you can see
Yeah,
it.
I'm already
Cool.
watching it.
So we'll take a look at the. This is game 2, I think. Yeah, we'll take a look at a couple. We'll take a look at maybe 1 or 2 of these. Let's take a look at this one in particular, I think, and see what's going on. See, because you got a perfect here, so let's see what's working for you, and take a look at some of the situations, and then yeah, we'll go from there. So yeah, I think that besides corner defense we could talk about too. That's a different thing. But I think where it feels like you're struggling now is if you're not able to generate that plus frame scenario for yourself, or the clean hit in neutral. It feels like your game kind of stalls out, right? You're not able to get anything going. So let's take a look. Right. Right. So here, right. So year plus, you get the throw, right? So this is one of those situations you're talking about here. It's not that plus, but I still have to guess, right? Right. Basically, a jab into throw. It's totally fine, right? Okay. So max range here. Your plus, I can't really follow up from here, but let's see. Unfortunate leap gets meet by the air to air. Okay.
I don't know why I did that, to be honest.
I was gonna say I've definitely seen folks do derev in that scenario there. Off the drive rush heavy into Jinrai, like derev here. It's difficult to DI this because the recovery on this is pretty quick, right? If you block the heavy Jinrai here, like the DI here, I could counter DI you too, right? It's just that I was going for throw anyway, and that's kind of what I input. Right? But if I was reacting to something or baiting something, like that would have gotten blown up. So, right. Counter hit. Yeah. So if you look at the space that we're standing at here, right? If we go back, so we're kind of both playing, or at least we're trying to maintain this kind of 3/4 screen, right? So neither of our characters can really win the game from here, right? So like we can throw fireballs at each other, but that's not gonna win. The way that you've been closing the gap for the most part is by throwing a fireball to cover your approach and then drive rushing behind it, right? So in this case, it was the raw drive rush, but that's basically how it felt like you were closing the gap. And do you feel like you do that a lot in your games right now, where it's like you're kind of standing at this far space and then you just drive rush in, and then that's how you close the gap?
Depends on the opponent. If they show me that they've gotten aggressive answer to my fireball drive rush, like for example with Ken, you could just DP through that.
Mm-hmm.
If you would have done that, then I would have stopped doing fireball drive rush entirely. But
Okay.
if the only answer they have is either block or do a drive reversal, then I'm gonna keep doing it because it's still advantageous for me.
Gotcha, yeah. As long as you're not using OD, right, you're still going to end up bar ahead, right? If you use regular fireball drive rush, then you're a bar ahead. But if you use OD and drive rush, you're bar behind, right? So I think that makes sense. Right. So back to this further space, right? So like after this bubble hits, So the bubble hits, and then I'm forced to back up here, right? Because I just blocked something. So what you elect to do here is instead of walking forward to contest the space here, you actually walk back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what this kind of tells me as the opponent, right, is that you want to be standing at a range where you can throw your fireball, right? And that's the strategy, right? Is that like, you want to stand at a range you can throw a fireball safely so that I can get in, right? So now that that's happened a couple of times, in my head I just am thinking I have to just walk forward, right? I have to take up as much space as possible, because if you can't throw that fireball, then you're forced to do something else, right? So okay, and I anti-aired here, good. Right, so at this point you've started to use the drive rush, right? But you're kind of giving up pressure to bait my D-rev, right? So this is good. Right, plus frames. But the spacing, right, is that it's too far for you to like threaten anything else, right? So what I've seen other Akis do here in this sort of situation, and I don't know how effective it really is they'll do that second forward heavy kick or whatever. Like they'll do this.
Oh yeah, I sometimes do that as well,
Right?
but it's very fake.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I
It's
don't do it often.
yeah, it's something where the fakeness, if you will, is what actually works for you, right? Because again, in SF6, like the like just because it's minus or plus isn't the whole story, right? You have to account for spacing, low crush, all that stuff. So even though like that is jabbable potentially, right? So if you did the forward heavy a second time here, right? So you do that, that's on block, so you're +2, right? And then the startup of this is like what, 14 frames or something, right? So it's a very large jabbable gap. But the issue is that you're +2, and at this distance, I can't really jab you, right? So like I can't reach anything here that would work. Now, if I did like a 6 frame or something like that, that might work. But I elect to do a low instead, right? So like you could have done that just to see how I would react to that, right? Because if you do that here, there's a little bit of a gap here, so it may not be exactly what I'm hoping to show, but you probably could have gotten away with another another forward heavy kick, basically. Right? So, like, if I'm not pressing on your plus frames, you can kind of gauge how greedy you want to be based on that, right? And it's kind of a player read thing. Like, this isn't going to work on every player, right? Like, if you do this in Diamond, you're going to get blown up because everyone mashes jab all the time, right? So everyone's mashing all the time, so you have to have everything super real, right? It has to be airtight, or it has to be an actual frame trap or anything like that. But as you climb up, you're probably seeing that no one really presses on plus frames, right? So they know their minus. They'll continue blocking. Maybe they'll delay tech. Sometimes people will challenge too, but a lot of times in these scenarios, like they'll just continue blocking. So you could consider taking an aggressive or a greedier button after, just to see what would happen, right? It's still early, right? It's still in game 2, it's still early in the round, right? I'm actually behind a lot here. So if that worked out, right, and I try to take my turn, or I try to challenge, or do something like that, and you kind of take a greedy button and is able to punish counter me with that forward heavy kick, that's a huge reward for you, right? You probably kill me from there, right? You could probably get a full cash out into level 1 and probably put me very close to death, right? So it's those kind of smaller decisions is where you grind out the advantage in these 1550 1600 games, right? It's like those small things start to matter more. So you can change your neutral decision based on what you're seeing from me. Because if you look, right, like I block and I back up, right? So you could have pressed another button here and it would have been, you probably would have landed it, right? I would have blocked it probably, but the reward for you for landing that is you get some additional space, right? I get pushed back, you're able to walk forward, right? And then you put me closer to the corner, right? So unfortunate anti-air missed.
Okay. I usually use heavy lash to anti-air, but I was kind of scared because of the 170.
Yeah, the ping. Yeah, it's tough when you have an anti-air that's like a little bit slow. Like for Ken is super privileged, right? I just mash it out and it works out most of the time. But yeah, I totally understand, right? I was jumping to see how it would go, and then you were using like a more consistent anti-air, and it just happened to get beat, right? It is what it is. Okay, so let's take a look at this corner sequence. Okay. So if you look at what happened here, I kind of put you in a tough guess situation like 3 times, right? And that's unfortunately how Ken runs offense in the corner, right? So after this hit, right, you take the throw here. It looks like you tried the delay tech, but it might have been late.
Yes, I did it too late.
Yeah. So, and then you delay tech on this one, right? The jab. So Ken's -1 here, but it's very difficult, right? You have to guess what the next thing's coming, right? If you jab here, you're getting a counter hit if I continue my string, right? Or anything like that. So let's see what happens here, right? So you only delay tech the first one, and then it looks like you go for a delay jab on the second one, right? So I don't mind that decision, but it is tough to do that when it's point blank, right? So delay jab, point blank after the first jab will get thrown. So you typically have to have a little bit of space in order for the delay jab to work here. Right, and then you get shimmied, right? So, and that's tough, man. It's hard. Like if I was in your position here and this Ken was doing this to me, I probably would have gotten hit too, to be honest, right? Because you can't take another throw here, right? Like you take another throw here, you're very, very close to death here, and all that. So, what it ends up being though is that I think that, and this is kind of a philosophical thing. I don't know if it's would work for you, but a lot of times I just end up having to make a defensive decision that isn't just delay tech here. So I might have tried to reversal. I might have tried to do, the OD slide, although that's tough to do sometimes. Or maybe even jump if I thought a throw was coming here, right? Because like you delay tech, so that suggests to me that you thought a throw might be coming here, right? So if you think, like, you could consider other defensive options in those scenarios, right? It doesn't always have to be delay tech. If you're reading throw, you could go for like a backdash, maybe it isn't the best option. You could try to jump also, right? So if I go for throw and you jump, because of where I'm standing here, it's not exactly meaty. So there may be an opportunity for you to get out, and I don't get an opportunity to cross-cut you, right? Because like from here, if I look at the where I actually was standing here, so you're getting up, I'm backing up, right? So we're already in neutral, right? So I'm pretty far for a throw at this point. So maybe there was a little bit of rollback or lag or whatever here that made it look like I was closer than I actually am. But this is kind of a far delay tech, right? So make sure you look at the spacing there. Like I was just shimmying here, like backing up, fully expecting you to reversal, basically. Right? So I'm actually giving up pressure here in case you do something. And then I just kind of react to the whiff throw. Right? So it looked like it. Like, if you look at it in real time, definitely looks like it. So, it's if you went for the jump there, you may have gotten away with it actually, because it was. I don't think I would, if you're reading throw, right? Like if I actually went for a throw there and you jumped, I think you would have gotten out of the corner basically. But yeah, delay tech can be kind of tough in the corner for sure. But yeah, I do think that defensive option selection, like for Aki especially, is kind of tough because you don't have an OD reversal, right? You have to use your level 1. Sometimes I think you do have to let that rip though. And you did actually get me with a couple of them, so it's just unfortunate that you guessed incorrectly here, I suppose. But I will mention that you did delay tech 3 times in a row though, right? So you delay tech through all of that, but then you managed to get thrown because of the jab into throw, right? So if you wanted to do delay jab or challenge there, you actually have to mash it out after that, right? Because after the first jab is meaty, like since the first jab is point blank, if I go for throw immediately after that, your delay jab won't come out. It'll actually get counter hit, right? And that's kind of what happened. So, cool. So this is your round here. Perfect to me. We'll see what works, right? Perfect parry that, right? Good. Safe jump or no? Drive rush overhead. Okay. All right, so you get that nice little 2-piece there with the sweep punish counter. So you get a setup here, right? And then my delay tech was incorrect, right? I actually delay teched super early for some reason, and I get smoked by this thing, right? So, right, and then that crossed me up, which I didn't think was gonna happen.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you were ready for that too, but you were ready to combo after that, so that was dope. But yeah, I don't know what happened.
That's dope. The EX slash pulls you forward a bit, so your back is not actually on the corner. That's why you can jump behind.
Gotcha. Okay, because I tried to just delay tech through that and block, but I was facing the wrong way. So gotcha. Okay, that's pretty dope. And I just die from here, right? Because Aki has the dopest conversions with poison on it, right? So Right, so you see what happened though, right? In this round. Right, I make a mistake, or you do a parry, right? You, I'm not that I made a mistake here, but you were able to punish this, right? Okay, I defend one of the setups you have, and then I make a mistake. This is my mistake here, is going for sweep here when I shouldn't have, right? And I get hit. And then now you have another setup opportunity, and I missed my delay attack here, right? But you did blow me up here, right? So if I had done any other option, would have gotten hit, and then this, I'm dead from this sequence, right?
Right. After that, you get set up again.
Yeah, second setup, right? So like offensively, right? If you're able to get your offense, running like this, like, it's totally perfect. There's no issue with anything that's happening here, right? So smoke me there, level 1 at the end, perfect. So yeah, that aspect of your game I think is totally fine, right? I think that's great. Keep doing what you're doing there. And so let's take a look at the last round here. Right, so now we're back to this kind of longer space, right? So we're trying to set up your fireball, trying to set up your drive rush behind it. So right. I don't anti-air. Alright. For some reason I wasn't blocking that. Right. Oh, I think that was just a little bit late. 1 frame.
Yeah, by 1 frame.
Unfortunate. You can blame the rollback on that one. I totally believe you. It's tough, man. It's tough. I mean, I know we're, opposite sides of the world, and SF6 netcode allows this to even happen to be possible, but, it is what it is. Yeah, unfortunate.
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty decent at hit confirming my stand heavy punch, but not on 170. I think I missed the hit confirm like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, there was a couple, and then I was able to just kind of punish you for it. I was thinking about that too on stream. It's like, I know that hit confirm is not exactly the easiest, but it's definitely doable for most folks. And I was like, okay, that's probably just like, maybe it looked like a hit.
20 frames. It's one of the easiest.
Yeah, it's super generous. Yeah, okay. I thought it was closer to 18, but I don't play Aki. But yeah, I mean, I knew that it was like well within the realm of possibility with a little bit of practice, and I was thinking that this is just blame the network. So I was thinking to myself, I should have supered here actually, mostly because of my meter situation, but ended up going for DP. Right, so run overhead.
Yeah, and I tried to super that because I saw the run, but didn't work out.
Yeah, I think it didn't come out right, or.
Yeah, I did the input right, but I think I left too much time between the crowd.
Oh, right here, yeah. The button, yeah. Unfortunately, but it's okay. Okay. Then we're back to the 3/4 range again. So I was thinking to myself, they want to throw a fireball or jump. Right. But yeah, I mean, that's, that's really just more of a function of like the games we had been playing, right? So if you're standing at that space, you're kind of not interested in playing footsies with me. So like, there's probably something else you're going to want to do. So I just kind of wait, right? Oops. Right, so delay jab, break that, right? So I'm backing up. So like in my head, I'm like, okay, they're delay jabbing or not really necessarily mashing like a wake up, but definitely challenging with a jab here, right? So good anti-air. Right, so right there, right? So this situation now, like, it feels like you're trying to bait the D-rev now, right? So what it does mean is that if you land this on block, oops. Right, you're kind of giving up pressure now, right? Because you're +3 here. So you can press another button, right? You can go for a walk-up throw or something like that. But instead you try to bait the D-rev, right? So now that D-rev is in your head, it's kind of messing with, like, the options you want to choose out of this, right? So I think that it's one of those things where it's very difficult to do, where you rotate back to an option that had previously been not working, right? Because the opponent is now countering the first option, right? Now you tried to counter it by blocking it, right? So now I'm not D-revving because you're going to beat me with a 6-framer. So now it's like, okay, now I can go back to pressing my button after to try to get those plus frames again, right? It's worth trying at this point because I'm not D-revving anymore, right? even though I have a ton of meter here and I parry this and all that, you could try to go for that option that had previously not been working at this point because I'm no longer trying to counter it, right? I can't counter everything on this, right? So you gotta, and again, this is very hard. It's something I'm working on myself where it's like I've been doing something that isn't working, or it had been working, now it's not working. Now they're doing something else, and I'm giving up the original thing I was trying to do because I'm afraid of the counter. But they're not countering anymore, right? So you have to try to rotate it back in. Because then you're plus here. So instead of taking your turn or continuing with the plus frames, you kind of have to back up, right? Waiting for a derev. So it's these smaller decisions, again, there you could probably have gotten away with something else. Like maybe you sweep me here a low or something like that, tag me walking back. Something like that. So. Oh, how did you get hit there? Let's see.
I did a jab.
You jabbed at kind of long range, right?
Yeah, I don't really know why I do that.
Yeah.
I feel like I have to press after you do something that's minus to take my turn back, so I usually just press jab, even though the spacing isn't right. So it's...
yeah, and that's kind of dangerous in this game, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I think sometimes if you're plus but too far away to take advantage of it, like you don't have to press anything here, right? So like you block this, the spacing pushes you back where none of your lights will reach. So if you think about the mix-up after this, right? We're both in neutral here, right? Because like your advantage is gone now, right? So if you look, right, here's where your advantage is, right here. So you'd have to press right now to take your turn back, right? Now we're in neutral. So it's like, you know, it's hard to justify a ton happening here, right? Like a light here, not going to reach, right? So whiffing a button is usually pretty bad in this game. So I think that if you were going to press something here, pressing like a 6-framer, so I think, or like your crouching medium or crouching medium kick probably would have been better. So like you block this, I don't really cancel into anything. So even that gets stuffed, right? You see?
Yeah.
So like if that spacing doesn't let any of your buttons work, then you might consider not pressing anything, right? So that's one, and then if I do, oops. So that's that guy. So if I take this again, press something else. Like maybe that could work if I'm gonna press after that.
Yeah, that's a 12 frame.
Yeah, but it's hard, right? It's so hard to justify that as like, oh, I'm gonna do it. But that's what I mean though, right? Is that like even though you're plus, if the space doesn't let you press a button safely or a non-committal button safely, it might be okay to just back up here, right? So if you just back up,
I think all of my mediums would have hit, so should have probably pressed that.
Mm-hmm. If you press any of your mediums, it's gonna get whiff punished by me kind of being greedy, right? So I recognize that the spacing is where like you won't be able to hit me with anything. So I just put a big button out, right? So if you happen to press, I'm gonna whiff punish it. So like jab gets whiff punished, right? Your mediums do. Well, maybe that'll work, right? Stand medium kick. That was far enough where it would have hit me, right? So if you look, right, something like that could work. So it might just be a button selection thing, given the spacing you were at. But I had noticed that you were kind of pressing lighter buttons in some of those situations. So I just kind of threw it out there, right? See what would happen. And then ultimately, I think that's what ends up doing you in, right? So here you get hit.
Yeah, you get drive rush.
Yeah, and then super, right?
Send Pierce into...
Yeah. So, like, again, I think, like, it happens to be some of those spacing decisions and the button selection in between. But I think a lot of it has to come down to your comfort level using some of Aki's pokes, right? So like the stand medium kick, crouching medium kick, and then like the stand medium punch, I think. Like trying to be able to use those more effectively in neutral will go a long way, right? Because right now, again, it felt like you just wanted to, like if you had any advantage, you would press it and you'd be able to win, right? But if I block something or I'm able to defend your setup, you wanted to back up again so that you can use Fireball Drive Rush to force that plus situation again, right? And if I'm noticing that as your opponent, I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to walk forward, right? I'm going to do everything I possibly can to stop you from being able to throw that fireball, right? Because if you throw that fireball and you drive rush behind it, then I'm at a huge disadvantage, right? And I don't want to be there. So being comfortable when you don't have access to that tool is probably going to be where like the next thing for your game is, right? Because obviously, again, once you hit me and the setups work, like I died, right? I did not get an offensive sequence back from there, right? So cool. All right, so that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. The corner stuff, I think we could take a look at in one of the replays you had sent me, so we'll take a look at that. But as far as like neutral game stuff and kind of the spacing things we've been talking about, what do you think so far? Does that sound kind of reasonable, kind of not? What do you think?
Yes, I mean the spacing thing I didn't recognize myself, but
Mm-hmm.
other than that, that's pretty much what I think about myself as well.
Okay, cool. So let's take a look at one of these replays here. I think
I think the first one would be best.
yeah, I was
The
gonna
other
say
two were just me getting run down by Unga Bunga Ken.
it's hard to defend that sometimes. For sure. All right, cool. I think this is it, right? All right. So you managed to get the win
Yeah.
here, but you wanted to talk about some of the specific sequences, right? So let's take a look.
Yeah, it felt like I got mauled the entire game, and I don't really know how I got my game plan started,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like I just made it count much more. That's how I won. But I want to figure out like how to get into that situation more where I started winning the game.
Okay, let's take a look at the replay and we'll go from there, right? Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so they got the jump in here. Let's see what happened leading up to that, right? So they dive kick, you block it. I think you recognize that you're probably okay. So you challenge with a jab here, which I think is okay. Cammy hits kind of high in this dive kick here, right? Normally, for her to be super plus, it has to hit like closer to the bottom, right? So I think like what was she here? Let's see.
It was +1, I think.
Actually, she was minus.
Oh, then I delayed my.
Yeah, you
button.
might have missed the timing here. So if you were gonna mash jab, this probably would have beaten it. But that's why it trades here, right? Because it's 4 frame to 4 frame. I think that that's fine to challenge, right? If you recognize that right there as like, oh, that's probably too high for it to be plus, and you just mashed against this, I think that's totally fine. If you're recognizing that, right? Because you could challenge here effectively because you're +1, even though you thought she was actually -1, you still challenged anyway. But it would have worked here, right? If you had been on time, so it's okay. All right, so reset back to neutral, right? Go for parry here in case they went for like a longer range button. But I do think that the parry here may not have been correct because they just got hit, right? So not a lot of players at this level, if they are minus, will press their advantage like that, right? They'll just wait.
Yeah, the Cammy showed me that they really like to press crouching medium punch after like a trade.
Okay. So it was a reaction or an adjustment to something they were doing. Okay, then that's fine. I think that's totally fine. Okay. Honest neutral. So I do like this. I think this is correct overall. You're trying to poke and control space with your stand medium kick. The hard part here is that it's a little bit far, right? So I think you probably want to try to get a little closer. But the issue here is that you throw this poke out, but you're not really able to take space back after, right? So you throw the poke, and you back up, right? And then Cammy goes for a jump. So a lot of times the reason you poke is to try to control that space in front of you so that the response from your opponent becomes different, right? So if you had been at the correct spacing when you threw this, like if you had walked up and did it and the Cammy doesn't react, so you walk up and poke them, right? This jump probably doesn't happen because they're too close. You try to poke them, you probably hit them potentially, and they block, right? And then they can't jump. Or they try to jump and it goes over you, and then you're able to use like some sort of crosscut option. I don't know what Aki. I think Aki can do like the stand heavy kick, and I think that covers. But I'm not an Aki player.
She can do the heavy lash, but it's pretty hard, and I'm
Okay.
trying to learn it. But
Gotcha.
it's difficult.
Right. Or the other option is you could just walk under them, right? So you walk under them as they're coming over, and then you just deal with them however, right? If you're standing closer, this jump might not happen, right? Unfortunately, the jump does happen, and it looks like you actually miss your anti-air here. I think you might have been going for heavy lash, you just didn't come out, or you're going for heavy punch.
I don't remember what happened there, but usually I would heavy lash at that range, but just stand fierce for some reason.
Yeah, it could also be you were predicting something, right? So you were predicting them to walk into your space after this, so you're predicting them to walk forward, so you're trying to cover with a stand heavy punch. But it looks like you kind of reacted to the jump with it. But anyway, you get jumped on. All right, deal with Cammy pressure. Goes for the basically a meaty stand heavy puncher, right? So she's plus. Got to deal with that. Throw, right? So this situation is actually really difficult to deal with, right? Even though it's only +1, so it's not like quote unquote true strike throw. The issue is that because she's plus, you can't mash, right? If you do mash and they happen to go for throw here, it'll beat it, right? So if you had mashed at this situation, right? So if you decide to mash here, right, it actually works, right? So, right. But it's very difficult to justify that mash, right? Because their plus, if Cammy decides to go for like a her light string after, so she does like a the jab into like something else, you're getting a counter hit there, right? So you can, with that all said, I think that the right thing to do here to kind of, at least as a start for your defensive options, is to actually delay tech, right? Because she's only +1 here. So she can't really threaten you with a shimmy in particular, right? Because if she tries to back up to try to get out of the range of the throw, she'll likely get thrown, right? So you have to consider that as, like, if she can't shimmy you, then delay tech becomes a more attractive option, right? Now she could neutral jump, right? And that could be a thing. But it's also difficult to do that because for Cammy, that means she's giving up her pressure to try to bait out delay tech, right? So, that kind of rock, paper, scissors thing. But I do think delay teching here in that +1 situation through the whole string might not be a bad idea if they're continuing to go for throw. Like you had mentioned in like the thing you had written there, where it's like Cammy's pressure feels kind of sticky and she's able to kind of keep you in the corner and everything feels like a trap, basically. But I think delay teching in a +1 situation against Cammy doing this may not be the worst thing if they haven't shown you they're willing to neutral jump yet. So, it's a defensive decision you have to make. You can't always be right. But, take it. And that all said, taking the throw here is also not bad, right? So, let me go back. Ooh. Right? Ton of life here, right? You're going to take one throw. Kind of in the same situation, but you didn't get shimmied. But now you can get shimmied, right? So now, like, if she walks forward or walks back, she could shimmy you, right, from here. So now you have to make another defensive decision if you want to delay tech or not. So if I'm you here in this situation, given the life meter and all that, I think I'm just going to end up blocking, right? I'm going to take another throw here. And at least that's what I'm thinking. Ooh.
And I didn't.
Yeah, right? So, yeah, that's what makes this tough, right? Is that, like, they went for that option. They made it look like they're going to throw, shimmy you, right? But the thing is, the shimmy is an option after the throw. The shimmy was not an option back here, right? So, like, I think delay teching here might have made sense, and then just taking the throw on the next one, right? Because, like, if you just take the throw after this, what happens, right? You're able to reset back to neutral, right? I mean, no, obviously it's unfair neutral because your back is against the corner and all that, but it's better than getting hit by this, right? All right, so in the same situation again, right? So here, right, let's see what happens. I think if I'm you here, after taking that, I think what I do is I probably try to do the OD slide here, right? Mostly because I think she's going to strike here, right? Because she had just thrown you twice. So unless she does the OS to beat that step here.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say, that I was scared because you can just option select it. Like if Cammy does meaty crouch fierce here, she can just throw after and I'm back to the corner and lose half my HP. So that's
or if she does
really
meaty jab,
risky.
meaty jab into the throw OS, right? It's gonna beat both. But I think you might have to try it here because you're only one interaction away from death, basically, right? She can fully cash out here if she hits you. So it's either that. If I am reading throw, to be honest, I would jump. If I'm reading strike, I would do the OD slide here. But I don't think I can take another throw from this scenario here. Right, so if you had jumped, you would have gotten hit, and if you had slid, you would have gotten out of this, right? So, but I think the actual mistake, if you will, right, like being wrong on defense is, I don't know, it's always a mistake here, but I think the issue is that your jab here gets blown up, right? Right, so there's the throw, shimmy, right? So even though she's minus here, Right?
She did it at point blank, so I was pretty sure that it was in range, but I got spacing trap.
Yeah, unfortunately, right? And again, that's Street Fighter 6, right? Is that it's the pushback is high, there's a lot of minus frames, and this is what happens, right? If you try to take a turn back with jabs in situations where the spacing doesn't allow that, that's what'll happen, right? And then this should have been confirmed from their part on the punish counter into like drive rush, right? Or spiral arrow potentially, but they don't. Right. So you actually challenge here, and this works out for you. So let's see you get out.
Yeah, the Kami does low forward into crouch fears a lot, which is fake. There's like a 5 or 6 frame gap.
Yeah, yeah. So you can jab this, right? So
Yeah.
right. So if they're not recognizing this on block, right, you're gonna blow them up every time. So this is good. Right, get out of the corner here. So let's see it. Let's see the offense. Good. Oh, that's unfortunate. So it looks like did they walk back a little bit?
They were in block stun, so they couldn't walk back, but I think I didn't walk forward enough.
Yeah. Okay.
Like the throw should have hit here from like timing, but I think it was spacing.
Yeah. If we look at what happened, they do the roll back. They back roll, right? So a little bit of
Yeah.
space there. So this hits, right? They're in block stun until here. Oh, okay. Yeah, so I think you just didn't walk forward enough. You had a couple of frames here to try to move forward. So after this, right? So you probably could have gotten him if you had walked forward. Oh, yeah. It would probably... I guess it would have worked had you walked forward. Let's see if I can even do it. Yeah, maybe their delay tech will work no matter what there, right? Reasonably speaking, right? I doubt that I'd be able to do a perfect 4-frame forward walk into a throw, right? I think that's pretty tough. But you know, the walk forward is what you could have done here. Additionally, from this situation here, and I don't know how much you've been playing, but you could have gone for shimmy as well, right? So if you think about the situation here, right here, this situation as the Cammy player, I made delay tech mid screen, right? Because I'm not sure if you're close enough for a throw. This would be me, right? As if I was the Cammy here. I'm not sure if we're close enough for a throw here. But I could go for a delay tech if you try to walk forward, and that'll beat that throw. It'll also beat any sort of strike you do because I know like I can't really press anything after this, right? Because you're going to be able to basically frame trap me if you time something, right? So I can go for a delay tech here. And if that's the case, then you can try a mid-screen shimmy, right? Like if you had shimmied here instead. Yeah, this is more of a player read thing. I don't know how many games in you're deep with this particular Cammy, but
That was the third game.
Okay. Had they been delay teching a lot through your pressure? Or if
Uh,
you remember or not,
I
obviously.
I don't think that they did yet, but I know that I established that later. Like I got a lot of shimmies in the later games.
Yeah. So that could have been a situation where you go for that, right? So it's like if you were to consider what the opponent is thinking in terms of the situation you're putting them in, a delay tech would have made a lot of sense, in my opinion, right? Like I was thinking to myself, I could have if I was that Cammy and I just got hit, I probably would have delayed tech there too, and that shimmy could have worked there, but you know, unfortunately though, their delay tech gets you, which always feels bad. All right, so punish counter throw here. They have a guarantee. Let's see. Do you think they're gonna drive rush up? Oh yeah, hooligan. Ooh, okay, it's gonna whiff. Oh, that's unfortunate. So I mean that was correct in terms of what I don't know if the correct is the right way to put it. It worked out where you were planning on jabbing anyway, right? So you jabbed here, and since you're still crouching, the throw doesn't get you, right? So if they had overheaded you here, that actually would have killed you, right? So you got to be careful about mashing jab here. Now, if this is you could respond to this by stand jabbing, right? So I think a stand jab here would probably have stopped the hooligan.
Yeah, I even lapped the conversion for that.
Yeah. So if it was like, oh, I was holding down and trying to jab it and the crouch jab came out instead, I don't hate it, right? I think if you're trying to jab the hooligan on reaction, I think it'll be fine. And yeah, because you get a force knockdown, you get your labbed conversion from there. So is the jab correct? against the hooligan on reaction, I think it's correct. It's just unfortunate that the crouch jab came out instead of the stand jab. So anyway, right. Unfortunately, Aki's jab from that far, you don't get the stand medium kick conversion. Sucks. Right. Ooh, okay. So what happened there, right? You whiff a big button, and then you just whiff punch.
Yeah,
right?
stand heavy punch is a really weird hitbox. It's usually not punishable.
Yeah, and it looks like they hit you like they shadow hit you, right? But yeah, I mean the hitbox probably has extended.
Probably like the last frame where the hurtbox was extended.
Yeah. Hitbox
because it goes away really quickly.
Right, and I think Cammy's stand or crouch and medium punch too has a little bit of disjoint. Let me just make sure here so I'm not lying to you, but I think there's a little bit of disjoint here too. Oh yeah, her fist is like the hitbox is like here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's likely that it just interacted funny with like the extended hurtbox. So anyway, you get whiff punished for that. Now, if you look at what actually happened though, in terms of neutral interaction here. Right, so you're both at
2 buttons again.
Yeah, you whiffed multiple buttons here, but
then medium kick and then stand fierce.
Yeah, so that, let's see, that was the first whiff, right? So you're standing a little too far for that. So if I'm the Cammy here, and this is something that I think like, if you see like, if you're in the, I know you're in the Discord, you probably see guys like Shogborg and Satora talk about this a lot, is that if you're playing somebody that's whiffing buttons like this, it tells you that you can potentially whiff punish them by inducing a whiff, right? So it's like, oh, their spacing is a little bit off. They would whiff the button when I moved into a space that wasn't appropriate for it, right? So like if you look at the spacing before you throw this, right? So this is just after the hooligan, whiffed and you're able to jab them, right? So if you look at the space, I'm gonna let this play out and you can see in real time what happens here. The Cammy kind of induces a whiff from you. Right, so what they did was they walked into the. So they noticed you walked in when you kind of walked into their space. You press the button. Right, so let's take a look. Right, so they walk forward a little bit. Then you walked forward and tried to challenge them with your stand medium kick, right? So my guess here is that they were actually expecting to throw this again. So when they walk into that space a second time, they're expecting this button. So because they're kind of moving in a way that makes it look like they're going to come up and press something, and because you've shown that you want to press something, the Cammy just walks up into a space where they can probably whiff punish the crouching stand medium kick safely and just crouches, right? And then you whiff your button, and then you get whiff punish here, right? I'm pretty sure they were looking for the stand medium kick here. But if you look at how long it took for them to react to that, it's 11, 14, like this is plenty of time to whiff punish here, right, for this particular move. So anyway, cool. So yeah, I mean, again, a lot of that, what Cammy was doing here was basically doing Cammy things, which is making you guess strike throw a lot, right? So sometimes you do have to make a hard read, if you will, to try to get out of that situation. It's tough because again, Aki doesn't have the reversal option, right? So the Cammy can pressure you kind of relentlessly without worrying too much about it. So that's when those other options like jump and slide can become things if the opponent is not option selecting against them. Even if you jump and take a DP, it's, you're out of the corner, right? So that's kind of totally what you want, right? Like out of that Oki situation. So, right. All right. So let's take a look here. Their plus. What do they do? Ooh. So this is tough too. Yeah, I it's hard to not delay tech, I guess, if that's something you've been doing. If they've been walking up, throwing all that. But if you look at the space here after the hit, right? I don't think Cammy is close enough for a throw.
Yeah, you would have to walk up throw.
Walk up throw, right? So, right. So if you notice the space is not close enough for an immediate throw, that means that I think delay tech shouldn't be one of the options you consider in that scenario, right? I think that if they are too far and they have to walk up throw, if you are going to do a delay option, delay jab's probably more correct, right? Because it'll stop the walk up. It'll just block anything if they decide to press because they're plus here, right? So it work out. And if they try to do anything else, your jab will come out, and it's unlikely that there'll be a problem. Now, if they back up and like wish punish you with like a heavy trying to whiff punish a light, then you just kind of tip your cap because you can't really do anything about that, right? They're making a hard read on your option. But if you really are afraid of walk up throw in that scenario, then I think delay jab is more correct there, right? Alternatively, you could just continue blocking, right? They're plus, they're not quite in your face, but you could just continue blocking and waited, right? That's when I think, like, if you're talking about defensive options, sometimes you have to filter out defensive options that may not work out in that scenario, right? So like if you look at this, I think that, wake up buttons, wake up throw tech probably doesn't make sense, right? Delay tech probably doesn't make sense, right? In terms of defensive options. So what does make sense? Continuing to block, right? In case they decide to walk up or press another button here because they're +3, they can press like a medium and frame trap you. So blocking is probably fine. Delay button is also okay, right? Because if they do go for that, you would delay your option so that you'll still block, right? Like you'd block, 5 frames or whatever. So that could also be a thing. And then, otherwise, just blocking, delay jab, maybe just backing up, right? Well, the backing up can be kind of tough because they could just tag you with a low. So I would, if it was me in this scenario after blocking the Cammy spin knuckle here, I would have just delay jabbed. That would have been me, right? But, blocking would have been fine too. So, all right. Fortunately, it's shimmied. Well, not really shimmied, but your delay tech gets blown up. That was good delay tech there. I think that was probably an appropriate time to do it. Cammy in this round anyway had been going for a lot of strike throw here, so it's probably fine. And now we're back to neutral, right? So from here, I feel like you want to try to throw a fireball, and maybe that's what you do. I think this is correct, actually, 100%. So after this tech, right, there's a ton of space now, right? So your goal should be, as Aki anyway, well, it's in particular, but this is kind of a me thing, to stop Cammy from being able to continue pressuring you. Your goal should be to walk forward and do that, right? Maybe in the right space to do it, obviously, but this was correct. The reason is because if your back is against the wall, you can't play neutral anymore, right? Or you can't really play it you're missing a key aspect of being able to play that, which is being able to create space, right? So if you can't create space in neutral, you end up losing the ability to whiff punish, right? Because you can't adjust the space anymore. So the Cammy can just kind of, if you're back against the wall, Cammy just would walk in, press buttons, right? Either stuff anything you're trying to do or induce you to whiff something and then whiff punish that, right? They don't have to worry about whiffing their buttons because they control all the space, right? But if you walk forward and have a little bit of space behind you now you can start inducing whiffs, and now you can start making them think about what buttons they want to press, right? So if you're talking about how to deal with like Cammy neutral and neutral in general, if you will, this is one way. This is a stable-ish way to do that, getting out of the corner. So this was totally correct. Like walk forward and getting the space back. Now Cammy walks up to challenge you here, right? With a jab. But I think this is only because they've noticed that you've been whiffing these kind of buttons in neutral, right? So like they're not too afraid of walking into your space because you're pressing a little bit early, right? So like if they walk up, right? Like they weren't too worried about that button hitting them. They just kind of walk through it and then jab you here, right? So, but I like what you're trying to do here, right? You're trying to get some space back, walk forward, press buttons, right? I know Aki doesn't quite have the same, drive-rush capability that like a Cammy would have, but you're trying to create space so that you can play your neutral game again. I don't mind that jump. Good challenge. Okay, Cammy crosses you up, but you block it. Now they're in the corner. What happens here? Are they gonna throw you?
I think I keep holding right and get it.
Cool. I think they. if I was the Cammy here, I'd go for light string. And if I was you, I'd continue blocking. So let's see what happens. Oh. How'd you get hit? What?
Yeah, I didn't notice that it side switched.
Okay, you're blocking the wrong way. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I gotcha. So again, if I was Cammy here, I would have gone for the button. If I was you, I would have just blocked. And I think that would have worked, right? So, right. Unfortunately, get hit. Good challenge, right? Because the Cammy has not adjusted to your challenge here. Good, right? So let's see what happens. Oh, that's disgusting. that's so filthy. Oh, come on. What is this? This is so filthy. Christ.
Um, so after heavy lash, depending on the recovery, you have to adjust your safe jump because if they recover in place, you will cross them up, and if they are close to the corner but not quite there, you can actually jump behind them, and it's really nasty.
Yeah, this is disgusting, right? So if you look at where he's blocking what he thinks is correct and gets hit, right? If I was me, I'd be like, damn,
Yeah.
because you actually hit me with this too, right? Well, I mean a little bit because you had forced the setup, but
yeah, with the EX slash.
yeah. But I was like, yeah, this is filthy. All right, okay, so now Aki offense, right? So Toxic Blossom Lash, right? Cool.
Yeah, and then recovery independent safe jump.
Yep. So they just
I
back
actually
up.
mistimed.
Yeah, they just back up. So that would have hit, right? If that would have hit, they're blocking high, so they would just blocked it, but then you would have had a mix up here. But they get out of it, so it's okay. You tried to walk up and throw. I'm assuming you got beat by their challenge. Okay. Try to jump out of the set play here. You counter hit on mash jab. Okay. So yeah, I think that if there was something you probably want to take out of your game, it would be this this jab that you kind of tend to do, right? So, all right, so they whiff the follow up there. All right, so you try to jump out, and then your challenge gets beat on the meaty. But luckily, it's far enough away that she can't really hit you with anything else, right? So we're back to neutral again. Ooh. You win this round?
Yeah, somehow.
Okay, so if we look at the sequence here, right? The Cammy is really trying to just land a straight hit, right? So you can kind of take it to your advantage, right? So they're just kind of, they hit you here, they're like, oh crap, I could have won the game, right? So now they're like, okay, what do I do? They just try to poke. They do this, which should have been game, but misses it on the drive rush here. Right, and then you do the right thing here, right, by jumping instead of trying to counter DI. Parry would have been fine too, but jump is probably correct. All right, so now you have all the space in the world, right? The issue though is that Cammy has level 3. Well, yeah, that and
Cammy's level 3 actually isn't an issue.
Okay,
that's the funny thing. You can cancel the fireball into EX.
Oh, into slide. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, from here though, right? You have a ton of meter to work with, right? You're trying to back up to try to reset the situation. Cammy's feeling a little bit apprehensive because they want to win the game right now, right? So let's see what happens. Okay. Party started here. Oh, Aki burnout sequence? Okay. So what happens?
I just missed the link. That's usually a combo, but I delayed it by 1 frame.
Yeah, you missed it by a frame, but it worked out though, right? Because the block here puts them in burnout, so they're like, "Oh crap! Now I can't reversal or anything." Now super seems like a really bad idea for them, and then it's just Aki on burnout, right? Tries to hold back because they don't want to continue holding pressure, and then from here it should be game, right?
Yeah, I could have done level 1 there, but worked out.
It's fine. Honestly, like spending level 1 or level 2 to win is fine, right? Like you're gonna have level 3 by the end of this, no problem, right? I always say that like it's better to spend it and have less super going into round 3 than not going into round 3 at all, right? You can't take this meter with you, right? So anyway, okay. So how did you rob this, right? So the robbery actually happens here. So this was the mistake by the Cammy player, right? So like what happens here is now the Cammy is like, oh crap, I need to win this game now, right? I need to win this game. I need to land a hit. I need to do something, and then they go for the kind of YOLO DI here. You parry it, perfect parry it even, right? Which is even better for you. Now, if you just normal parry, this would have been fine. But this is where I think the Cammy's game falls apart, right? You get the conversion. Now, I think if you had converted this correctly, you would have had to spend level 3, right? If you wanted to actually try to end it on the sequence.
I wanted to kill with level 3.
For sure, right? But it's funny how it worked out, right? So the drop here, because they're just blocking, the drop here causes the burnout, and then they try to back up after this box jump, right? And that's kind of what kills them. So, do I think this was a good game for you? Mostly, actually. I think you got away with it at the end there, but a win's a win, right? So you had an opportunity to capitalize, and you took it, right? So, you know, the Cammy had been kind of mauling, maybe not mauling you, but they had won more of the interactions, and they had you in the corner. But the second you were able to get out of the corner and they made a mistake, you killed them, right? So it's totally fine. But if I'm the Cammy here, I'm tilted, right? I'm tilted off the face of the earth right now. So let's see if you can take advantage of that. Right? Totally fine. They whiff it. Go for the jab. Good. Right. Plus. Good delay tech, right? So again, that time
I actually reacted to the walk up there.
Okay. I think that's fine. You know, they're not really in that scenario. I think the way that that had gone, they were a little bit off. So they're still plus, right? They could have been a little bit more plus had they landed that perfectly meaty, right? But, you know, the pushback there, and then you just delay tech, so it's fine. Fortunately, your fireball gets jumped. Okay, gotta deal with the Cammy pressure again. Good. I think this is correct. I think just taking another throw here would have been fine. And you do that, right? Yeah, so this right here. Let's see, where is it? Yeah, right there, this jab. Right, I think you do have to be careful about this, right? So if Cammy decides to just press another button here, it's likely you're likely gonna get stuffed here, right? So something like that. So just be careful, right? If the space doesn't allow, what I would say is that if the jab is not good, I mean, again, Aki has a really good crouch light punch, right? That goes pretty far. But if it's not going to tag them even on block, I would hesitate to throw it out there, right? Because it can get, like, if the Cammy decides to do some sort of space trap that gets that, that can be problematic for you, right? So, if, like, I know I had to experiment a little bit here, but if I press the crouch and medium punch, like, and this Cammy has been doing that, right? Crouch and medium punch after the buttons, that could be a problem, right? So just be careful if you're going to challenge in that scenario. If the jab's not going to reach, consider not throwing it. Oh, what? Okay.
Yeah, if the juggles, you need to delay the target combo for it to work.
Oh,
but
gotcha.
I didn't even expect it to. I just saw that it hit and decided to go into it.
Go for it, yeah. Okay. So this is probably how you win the game from here, would be my guess, is that they get crossed up and take a big combo. Right, setup. Okay. Ooh. So that's how you win it. The Cammy went ham, decided to do a hard read on something you were doing, and then you probably just take it from here if I'm... Oh.
Actually, that might have been the input buffer there.
Oh, she was trying to spin knuckle something, potentially, and then ended up accidentally level 2?
I think so.
Maybe.
Like, the input looked weird. It was like a quarter circle back, forward back, and
yeah,
punch.
And then they accidentally got it. Either way, it worked out. You converted. You dropped the conversion, but you still killed them, right? But anyway,
Yeah,
if you wanted to talk about like how Cammy was able to try to stick to you a little bit, a lot of it ends up being that her pressure is actually like the sequencing is actually kind of simple in that she's really just doing strike throw. It's then up to you to make a decision on when you want to try to jump out or OD slide, right? Because a lot of times it's really ends up being +1, +2 on wake up, like a button comes out, and then you have to kind of guess after that, right? So if you are going to delay tech, I think delay teching after the crouching heavy punch is usually correct because she can't quite shimmy you there. If you delay tech there and she neutral jumps, you should be able to block in a lot of cases, depending, right? I have to try it out. But also, if the Cammy is not doing a lot of light string pressure, which this Cammy wasn't, right? So this Cammy actually elected most of the time to go for the heavy punch, right? So if they are going for heavy punch, then slide will work, right? Because they can't OS with a heavy, right? You have to OS with a jab. So if they're not doing light string pressure against you on wake up, then OD slide becomes an option for you, right? If they're going for like continuous pressure like that, right? I think that, well, let me take it back. So after they do the stand heavy punch here, right? They kind of don't really throw you a ton after. They weren't really throwing you a ton after that, right? So I'm trying to think how I would defend that overall, and it's very difficult, right? Because a good cam is going to mix that up. You just kind of have to pick your spot, I think, to reversal or slide is really what it has to be, I think. If they're going for strike throw a ton and you have meter, then you can probably do it. But I think this Cammy actually had kind of stopped with always going for strike throw once you had level 1, right? I don't know if you noticed that at all, but it's kind of what I was thinking from here. So, but yeah, I wish I had a better way to describe that other than you kind of have to make a decision, right? You can't just continue blocking because what'll happen, especially against Cammy, if you just block the whole time, right, you're going to take a ton of throws. But the actual other issue there is that they're going to continue bullying your drive gauge and then they'll burn you out, right? Like they're going to just do a bunch of buttons and then like dive kick you when you try to take your turn back and continue like in your face. And then all of a sudden you're out of drive, and then all of a sudden now everything actually is real, and you actually have to really guess because they're going to be plus and everything, right? So yeah, I think that's really it, honestly. In that, and now the reason you got the W here was that the Cammy actually made a couple of mistakes that I think they probably didn't need to. In that last round, obviously it was the level 2 input that kind of beat them, or I kind of lost in the game, right? Because they made a mistake and you're able to punish it. But in the second game, they had you in the corner and then went for a DI that got jumped. So they had you, they're about to kill you, they dropped their combo to win it, and then they got they got antsy, if you will, and then tried to force something. And then you just played patient, perfect parried the DI, and then won the game from there. So I think that's kind of what happened overall. So, all right, cool, man. So what do you think so far? Does that sound kind of in line with what you're hoping to get out of it? I know that there's a bunch of other stuff you had listed and wanted to talk about for like, cross-cutting EX Fireball and that stuff, but I think I'm trying to cover the things that you felt like you were losing to, at least at this point.
Yes, so it didn't even feel like things that you were explaining, like the delay jab or delay taking too much, were like that big of a problem that would lose me entire rounds
Mm-hmm.
frequently. But apparently it is.
Well, it's
So
more
I kind of
like
underestimated that.
it's more like the snowball effect kind of happens, right? So when you get hit, right, especially in a punish counter, like if your delayed jab gets blown up by a punish counter, what ends up happening is you take a 2,000, 3,000 damage combo, right? So you take a third of your health, and then you're in the same situation again, right? So you have to try to think about what you're going to do again. So if you had not elected to press that button, you don't take the damage and you're out of the situation, right? So then the whole like round, the texture of the round changes, right? So like at this level now that you're at, right, the 15, 1600 level, like probably even 1700 now at this point, some of those smaller decisions are what end up causing the game to win or like lose or win the game, right? Because you don't make a lot of mistakes, right? Neither does like mistakes are pretty rare now at this level. So you're either inducing an error in some capacity, or you're grinding out like some crazy advantage off a small thing, right? So if my opponent is delay jabbing a ton, right, then I can try to build them up for it. It's like delay teching at a lower level, right? So like if you're climbing through the ranks and you get into platinum and diamond, you're like, oh man, delay tech is so good, right? Like I'm able to stop everything that's coming in. And every time you delay tech, you get shimmied for it. It's the same thing, right? You're taking 3,000 damage for a defensive decision that puts you in the same situation again, right? That you have to defend it a second time. So it's the same thing. Like delay jabs, even though they are fairly low risk, if they do get blown up with a punish counter, that represents a lot of damage. And it forces you in your head, right? And it's kind of a psychological thing where it's like, oh crap, my defensive decision got messed up. So now I'm not going to make that decision again, even though that might have been correct on the next time, right? So it's like hard to stop that effect. So just gotta be aware of that, right? Like if we went through the replays here and we saw it, right? There are some things you weren't getting punished for, like if you were going for jabs and stuff, you weren't getting punished for it. But there were situations where you kind of got hit because you were trying to do something and then it didn't quite work out. So you just have to be aware of what you're getting hit by, if you will. So at least that's how I think about it, right? Because like it's tough to be like, all right, I'm gonna try this option, and then I lose a third of my health if I'm wrong, right? Or it gets blown up. It sucks. But you have to try to do it again at some point, potentially, right? So, but yeah, otherwise, let's see what else. I don't know, what else are you thinking, man? What else did you want to ask or talk about? Anything else? We had a list of things here,
Uh,
but
yeah, let me check my list again.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, we talked about using more crouching medium kick, stand medium punch, stand medium kick, use that more neutral. That's really just a space thing, right? So being able to stand at the correct space, press the button. It's very difficult though. Like I can say that just, oh yeah, stand at the right space and press it. But there's a lot of nuance, right, that goes into that. Like being able to stand at the correct space, being able to read your opponent's movement, being able to understand what your opponent wants to do in those situations. Like a lot of that comes into it as well, right? So, but one thing I did notice, right, and we kind of talked about it, was that you were whiffing the stand medium kick at kind of far ranges, right? So that might be something to try to clean up. Ideally, what happens is you press that button and they block it. So even if it's on hit, on block, that part doesn't matter as much. But whiffing it is pretty bad, right? That can be death against like higher level players that are looking for that. They'll just whiff punish you all day if you whiff those buttons, right? So, and again, that represents another 2,000, 3,000 damage combo, right? So that's where that small mistake can really snowball. So that's that. And then drive rush to continue pressure. I think for Aki it's a little different, right? Her setups are like after lash and some other stuff. You don't really use drive rush as much to force that, or you don't need to in some cases. I don't know all the Aki setups, but if there is an opportunity for you to drive rush into it, I think it's okay. But I don't. I feel like whenever I play Aki, a lot of her setups are just because like she does the up lash into safe jump, or the double dash thing, or if I'm in the corner, then you don't need drive rush anymore, right? So, is that, and then let's see what else you have like here. Drive rush checks. So that's actually pretty tough. Something that, and I think you might have seen it, is like those strider drills that everyone talks about. So basically, putting the opponent to do the things that people do in neutral, so like jumps and dashes and drive rushes and that type of thing, and then just focus on checking them. That might be something worth adding into your like routine before ranked or something. It's like 5 minutes or something to do that. It's really the only way, in my opinion, to get used to that. You just have to kind of drill it, right, and be ready in those neutral situations. What I will say, though, is that if you're standing at 3/4 screen against characters with Fireball Drive Rush, it's difficult to check Drive Rush because they'll throw a Fireball, right? So you have to stand at a space where you can check the Drive Rush, which means you have to stand a little bit closer, right, to do that. So if you're trying to stop your opponent from neutral Drive Rushing to do something, the actual solution, besides being able to have the reaction check ready, is to stand a little closer. Because there's a minimum distance, right, that the Drive Rush has to travel before they can press their button. It's different per character, right, but there's a minimum distance there. So if you're able to stand closer, you'll have more success in checking Drive Rush. So, let's see what else. Cool.
This spacing is something I'll definitely have to practice. I only recently started using stand medium kick in neutral because I've like watched replays of like Hikaru, and he does stand medium kick into crouch medium punch a lot, and it's really working well for him. So try to implement it, but yeah, the spacing is still pretty new to me because I didn't play a lot of footsies before. I just fireball drive rushed a
Yeah, yeah,
lot,
yeah.
so
And it's really
it's
effective,
something I
right?
still have to learn.
Yeah, yeah. But when you run into somebody that can't work on, whether because like it's someone like me that is just also doing that and trying to get in your way, or like this Cammy that was just never giving you an opportunity to throw the fireball. Once that stops working, that's when you have to do this stuff, right? And the footsies part, the space control part, is probably like, if it's one of the hardest, if not the hardest things to learn how to do, because you have to really, like, I don't know how to put this. It's like you can't really lab it out, and there's no like right or wrong answer all the time. There's like varying degrees of correct, unfortunately, right? So it is, but yeah, the first step towards that though is to just not whiff buttons. So getting used to, like, if you look at the high level players, when they press that button, it lands most of the time, right? And then if on the flip side of that, when they whiff it, it gets whiff punished most of the time, right? So, but yeah, the stand medium kick into crouch medium punch, right, to bait the button that's coming out from them, super effective, right? Like if I try to take my turn back, you just get a drive rush, right? Free drive rush, right? So, yeah, cool, man. Anything else you wanted to ask about or talk about? I guess. What do you think of?
No, nothing that comes to mind right
Okay.
now.
Okay, cool. I know it's probably late for you. So did you want to run it back? Did you have time, or did you want to call it there? I mean, I'm good either way.
Sure, but I want to go to the toilet first.
Oh yeah.
So
Go
like
ahead.
in 2 or 3 minutes,
Yeah.
can do the one back.
Oh yeah. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, be right back.
Sure. All right, you can look at my face while we talk about this. So, yeah, I think that space, unfortunately, or maybe not unfortunately, but spacing is definitely like one of the hardest things to learn in this game at a higher level. And it makes it probably has the biggest impact once you get past 1500, 1600. I think maybe even 1700, honestly. Like I do deal with a lot of firewall drivers still at 1600. I think that the game allows you to play in this way, without having to really deal with the ground-based neutral footsies, and you can play it very well, right? You can play a character that has a lot, and yeah, and it's not free, right? You still have to know how to do the setups, execute them correctly, right? Make the right reads and all that. But the game has a lot of tools that allow you to bypass some of that. So if you aren't able to bypass that, right? You run into somebody that checks everything, then you got to figure out how do you get in without putting a lot of risk, right? Because like as good as Drive Rush is, Fireball Drive Rush, there's still some elements of risk, right? Like you can get derabbed or anything like that, or even just raw Drive Rush, you get checked. Jumps, leaps, like all that stuff. There are counters to most of those things, whether that be a character specific thing like a Ken DP or like or a parry, or like a system mechanic. So being able to control that space, being able to play that aspect of the game well, the space control piece becomes very important once you run into people that can check all those things. So, and again, like you don't have to, right? You can play this game very effectively, never having to land a whiff punish in your life, right? Play the game really well that way. But, you're going to run into players that can stop that stuff, and then what do you do, right? Like you can either continue trying to do that stuff and probably die if they keep checking it, or, figure something else out. So anyway, so Ember, if you're
I'm
here,
back.
thanks. All right, cool. Let me invite you back in, and we'll run it back. All right. So invites in. So I'll leave the mics hot so we can chat during. I think if you were trying to make an adjustment like immediately, I think the one thing would be to try not to whiff your buttons in neutral. That's really the only try to focus on that. I think, but otherwise, play your game, right? I think you play a good game or a good Aki, so you'll be fine.
Okay. Oh wait, somebody messaged me. Gotta respond. Okay, I done
You good? All right.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Ooh.
Yeah, and right back to whiffing buttons.
Ooh.
Oh, I forgot you do that a lot.
Yeah, the dry brush throw. Yeah, people really like parrying there, so. Oh. Nice.
Oh, nice backdash.
Oh. Should have been a forward throw. Oh. You gotta be careful.
Oh, I forgot that it's low.
Yeah, you gotta be careful to walk back on the Jinrai. You go low to high, low to high if you're gonna fuzzy guard that.
Oh, we had 4 rollback right now.
Yeah, it's kind of a lot. Oh. It's gonna hurt.
Oh, what? Sort of get far enough with that. I didn't delay tech.
Oh. Oh, caught you walking. Yeah, I gotta be careful on
Yeah,
the
I tried to do the forward heavy kick, but I delayed it too much.
Yeah. It would have worked though if if you had gotten it on time. Oh. Oh.
That was the wrong button.
Uh-oh. Oh. Oh, that's disgusting. Uh-oh.
Oh
no! Oh no! You had me though. Oh, you had me.
I tried to do a stand heavy kick into medium and slide again, and then do a low instead. But I got forward heavy kick.
You had me though. I was blocking high. Oh no. Oh.
Oh, what? I tried to space him correctly there.
Yeah, that was weird. Nice.
You got a crouch shield?
Yeah.
You should have gotten counter hit for that.
You gave me punish counter there, right? So I must have parried the first hit. Uh-oh.
Oh, didn't go far enough.
Nice. Oh. Oh, what? Oh, no. That's what I wanted the first time. Oh, that sucks. Fall for the old, didn't work the first time, gotta do it a second time.
Oh, that didn't even hit you?
That hitbox, I swear, is so weird. Or it's so weird sometimes, like, on, like, jump forward. Not delay my jab. Nice.
Oh, you blocked it. Oh, I delayed it much as well, though.
Oh. Uh-oh.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, the whiff there is always
Sit down and shut up.
it's the name of the show.
That's the name of the show. Oh, why did I? I was thinking that I should react to like anything you do with my super, but I think you delayed your drive rush a bit.
A
So
little bit, yeah. I mean,
no.
I was drive rushing though, so if you'd reacted to the green, it would have been fine. Oh shit. Nice. Oh.
You didn't do the fireball immediately.
I'm dead, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't fireball from there though, but yeah. So that was a good round for you.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
that got nerfed. You can't do it anymore, but
Yeah.
a lot of can still do
They
it.
still try. Yeah, you definitely can't from that distance anymore. But you know, people do it. They try. People let it go through, I guess.
Oh, what? I got the perfect parry effect for some reason.
Really?
Like, was blue for some reason. Like, that was so weird.
Oh.
Oh, you can convert?
Yeah, on counter hit. Counter hit or better, you get a stand light kick. Or on punish counter, you get a crouching medium kick. But yeah, it's definitely counter hit confirmed though. Oh, nice. Crushed.
Oh, nice whip punish.
Oh! Oh, caught you walking. Oh. I should have delay tech after that setup.
You can... What?
Yeah, the
That's a frame trap?
the target combo into that is a frame trap, yeah. If you DI it though, on that, it'll work. But yeah, you do have to block if I go into Jin right from there.
I kind of expected it to be like Kimberly's, where if you do the target combo, you can't frame trap it. If you do medium punch, you can.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird on Ken because like the cancel window is weird on the target combo, so that ends up becoming a frame trap if you go for medium there. So what most people will do is they'll block, they'll continue blocking on the target combo, or they'll DI it. So if you DI'd there in that sequence, it blows me up. So it's kind of a harder read, but you know it is what it is. But yeah, I think like on the run back, I think you were trying to not whiff buttons overall. Like there was a lot less like kind of blatant whiffs, if you will. I had to induce it, right? So I had to kind of walk into the space, walk back, force that. So that's good. That was a really good improvement, I think. I know the result ended up being a little, you know, what it is, but I think that was really good. Obviously, you're using less fireball drive rush because we were trying to be intentional about it, I think. But you can see how like more stable your game plan is when you're not relying on fireball drive rush, right? You have an opportunity to just kind of walk me down to the corner, and then once you get conversions, right, I have to guess for my life, right? So cool, man. That was pretty sick though, like the being able to get that make those adjustments quick. So cool. So with that, anything else before we wrap up you think of?
No.
I know it's a lot. It's cool, but cool, man. So yeah, I'm just gonna wrap up on stream here, so you can feel free to hang out if you want to. I'm just gonna meet you on stream, so you know if you can hang out. Otherwise, have a good evening. I think it is for you right now. So, or
It's almost 11 o'clock.
okay, gotcha. All right, man. So all right, cool. So I hope that was helpful for you, and have a good night.
Yeah, thank you. Good night.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Cool. Thanks, everyone. So this has been Sit Down and Shut Up. Appreciate you guys coming in, hanging out, and watching. So I run this out of the Fight Rise Discord. So Fight Rise is a fighting game community that runs bi-weekly events through their One Fight Stand series. So if you're looking for tournament kind of sets, you can sign up for that. They run that every other Tuesday. If you are at master level or above that, you get into a 7-round Swiss. And if you're below master, they'll put you in a rank separated pool as best they can, depending on entrance and all that, and you'll play a 7 round round robin, right? So you usually get around 7 rounds of tournament bracket sets, basically. It's pretty casual, but it's a good time. So if you are interested in that, sign up the Discord to come out. They also run community showcase events through their Urge to Fight series. We do things like, run charity donations and all that. So if you are part of the community, get a chance to be on the show. I do commentary for them. And I think an EU one is actually coming up pretty soon. So stay tuned for that. If you are interested in either of those things, take a look at twitch.tv/FightRiseFGC. Put the Discords in chat as well. If you're interested in a session like this, join the Fight Rise Discord, take a look at a channel called Sit Down and Shut Up. There's some pinned messages there that you can take a look at to kind of get signed up for something like this, right? So I do take pretty much everybody. Obviously I'm at the level I'm at, which is around 1600. So if you're above that, it's ends up being more of like a collaboration session, if you will. But if you're interested in this type of coaching or live training and replay review and stuff, take a look, sign up, take a look at the pins, and I'd be happy to have you. Another big thing that Fight Rise does is their Big League KO series. So this is basically a league format. You are put into an 8-person pool, and you run a round robin tournament where every set is a first to 5, and it's spread out over the course of 4 weeks. So you get to run 2 sets a week, first to 5s. You schedule it with your opponent, so scheduling is flexible. Goes over the course of a month, and then at the end of it, there's a playoff that happens for the top players that come out of their pool. A lot of fun, very popular format, because a lot of us have busy lives, busy schedules, and this allows us to kind of continue getting, a lot of games in with good competition and good players at our, and be able to do that, right? So if any of those things interest you, please join the Fire Rise Discord. Take a look at a lot of events happening for that. And I'm also part of the Newbie Fight Club. So Newbie Fight Club is a fighting community that's focused on getting newer players into the game. They run lobby nights every Monday, Wednesday, Friday for Street Fighter 6. We also do some 3D fighters like Virtua Fighter and sometimes Tekken, although I guess that's less these days. So if you're interested in any of those, and they also do classics like other 2D games like Grand Blue and some other stuff get played. So if you're interested in any of that, take a look at the Newbie Fight Club Discord. And the Fight Rise Discord too. They play other games as well. So if any of those things interest you, please join the Discords. I'm very active on those, so if you wanted to reach out to me, to talk to me, or get sets, whatever, reach out to me to either of those. I'm more than happy to try to get some time to play with you. So with that, I wanted to thank you all for tuning in. I don't always respond to chat because I'm working, focused on the person I'm talking to, but I do appreciate your messages, your likes, your follows, and all that. Speaking of which, if you are interested in some of the previous sessions I've done, take a look at my YouTube channel. It's listed in the description below. And if you're watching us on YouTube, hi. Hope you're doing well. And with that, thank you guys so much, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thanks.